Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 2 of That's Good Booking. I'm Demented. This is over here to my left or right. I don't know where he's at right now. That is IAmSteves, and the other
What's
side
up?
guy is K.Pop. And we are here with episode 2, and we are going to talk about all wrestling. Everything wrestling this week.
All Elite Wrestling?
Oh, well, we'll get into that. But, but we'll get into everything about what happened this week, the releases, and who our favorite wrestlers are. So stay tuned to the end to find out, and we're probably going to argue about it too. So, guys, what did you like this week in wrestling?
I go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I absolutely loved the MJF versus Sammy Guevara match, the main event on AEW. Holy shit, was that a good match? So many twists and turns in the ending. Spoiler alert, MJF picked up the victory by getting a hit in the head. Sammy Guevara got hit in the head by the chairman himself, Sean Spears, and it was just an incredible way to set up a feud between Jericho and MJF, and it's an incredible build and storytelling.
It was a great match. I love everything that the Pinnacle and Inner Circle's been doing. Like that is good booking, man. It's great.
It is good booking.
I love everything that they're doing, and that match was fucking hard hitting, man.
Oh,
I mean, literally hard hitting.
I love the fact that this is just a passing of the flag. And I think this is where AEW head and shoulders beats the competition, and we'll call it the competition because we do talk about just more than the big conglomerate WWE.
Bully Ray's gonna come after you for that.
Oh, listen, no, stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane, kid.
But no, seriously, because you got Jericho heading, the Inner Circle, you have MJF heading the Pinnacle, and then you have Tully Blanchard, who's also helping the Pinnacle. You have such great talent surrounding these legends, and these legends surrounding themselves with great talent, that it helps to see why AEW is constantly doing good booking. Do they get mistakes and botch sometimes? Absolutely. Oh, yeah. But at the end, as a whole, they get it. They've gotten it. Tony Khan has got it, and he is a kid. He's a master hand of Super Smash Brothers, and he's got a big toy box to play with.
Love that reference.
Yeah.
They always say, it's just a wrestling company that's full of marks, that's ran by marks. What's so wrong with that? Is there a problem with people enjoying wrestling that are running the company? That's how it should be. I mean,
you don't need like 10,000 skits of different, this is what this guy's doing this week. He's gonna sing a song for the crowd. Is like the crowd doesn't want to hear him sing. Maybe he's a good singer like Jericho, but they just want to see wrestling. That's all they want.
I mean, to an extent, I love the goofy shit too. I mean, look at like Kenny Omega coming out in his whole promo with the big, Lemmy thing going on. Yeah, I mean, it was great. How all of the Elite, they had their different facial hairs than they normally do, and it all looked goofy as hell. But I loved it. It was fun, and the fact that it was just like that. And the Bucks tag match, that was another great match.
Oh, versus Penta and Kingston
and Eddie Kingston, which I get the point of them teaming up and everything, but another not established tag team, that's one of those kind of missteps that I'm like, I'm here for it. They're great individually. As a tag team, are they really a tag team, or are they just a couple of people thrown together again? That's kind of where Eddie Kingston ends up in these tag matches, but he's so good as a singles competitor. That's where I want to see him thrive.
I don't understand where any other company dropped the ball with Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston, when he talks on the microphone, you're so captivated, and it just draws you in, because he makes you. It's kind of like what we do, and in the NGTTWF universe, all three of us are considered promo artists for E-feds is what they call it for people who don't understand the conversation. But we actually cut wrestling style promos on each other to make it sound like we're just doing that without the physical wrestling, because, well, I can't go to the West Coast and fight K-Pop, or I'm not driving up to the Northeast and taking on Steve. But at the end of the day,
you could.
I could. You're only a couple hours away from me. But at the point is that man is literally the living embodiment of what we love to do. And he just draws you in. Like when they botched the exploding barbed wire match.
Yes.
In 5 minutes, Eddie Kingston cut a promo and made you believe that barbed wire match was supposed to be like that. And you're just like, I believe him. Yeah, they screwed up, and I believe.
I have to say that Eddie Kingston is the best on the mic. Have you seen his promos that on BTE where like he promo like hand him like a bag of like Sour Patch Kids?
Promo these Skittles.
Yes. Oh, but so good.
I think they honestly do that. I honestly think they do that for the young generation to teach them how to cut a promo. And I think Eddie Kingston's probably got some executive role in that in the backstage. I mean, I know a lot of, and it's literally a company of wrestlers who help out wrestlers, which is way better than what anybody else can do, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I really do believe in the background, like QT Marshall. Go look at QT Marshall. QT Marshall, you see him, he's like, oh, he's just an average guy wrestling, you know, da-da-da-da-da. Go look at his executive roles behind the scenes at AEW. The man's got a laundry list. You know, and it's just, I'm actually happy about that. You know,
well, you know what I'm not happy about is all these releases that we're seeing.
Don't even get me started with those releases, man. I'm so heartbroken.
Okay, the biggest problem, not only just people being released, but the fact that they go out and insult our intelligence by saying, oh, these are all budget cuts. You're as profitable as you've ever been. You're more so. These are not budget cuts. You're trying to trim the fat and sell your company off, is what it seems, at least. That's, you know, the theory that's out there. But I gotta ask, what's the biggest loss?
I say one of them is recently just got released, Braun Strowman. Big, huge draw. See how big he is? He's what, like 7 foot tall? Like, is he 7 foot tall? Or like 6 something? I forget how tall he is, but he's a big draw. He's a big dude. Had big matches like he was part of the Wyatt family. He had a lot of good stuff. Big draw in the WWE. Is like, what's the problem? Like,
he was actually one of the few, I believe, they cut because he was so much money. And I think a part of his contract was restructured during COVID. So it's not going to be as lucrative once they get on the road, because I guarantee you the incentives were there for when they started traveling. So they got all these people making less money, but the second they start traveling, they're going to gain more money because of how they structured their independent entertainers contract, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But and I think right before that happens, here comes the chopping block, and you know, we just had some last week. We had some over, I guess we're now up to the 90-day mark with some of them. In August, the second wave beginning of September, the second wave can actually start wrestling again because they all have the non-compete clauses. So, but
Steve, you have the list, right, of all the wrestlers that were released and were released.
I got a couple
last
of the
week?
list. I got a couple that hit the heart for me, because I know there weren't big, huge names, but they were over. These guys were Fandango and Tyler Breeze. I almost called him Febreze, but no, Tyler Breeze.
They freed Breeze, right?
Free Breeze. But I remember back in the day that Jericho was talking about facing Fandango at WrestleMania. He's like, I'm never going to face a guy named Fandango at WrestleMania. And apparently him beating Jericho at WrestleMania, I think 20 something, I forget which one it was a long time ago, got him over with the and the dancing. It was just so great for him. And then him getting released this past week was just after him finally getting a title with Tyler Breeze, the Fashion Police, was heartbreaking for me.
The actual thing though is a lot of these people who got released had pushes. They were in the middle of a push. I mean, look who I'm wearing.
Aleister Black, one of my favorites.
He had a push. He had a rebranded character with a push. And the next week,
cut.
It was his Tommy end.
That's good booking.
I understood that reference.
Yeah.
I think he came in, did the black mask to Big E, and was like, I cost you the Intercontinental title. Then next week he got released. I think he should.
Who do you think hit you the hardest?
He's one that came off of the Indies, and I always enjoyed him as a technical wrestler. Yeah, his gimmick was goofy for a while there, but it was fun with the whole selfie stick and all that. But
I still thought you were talking about Aleister Black. I'm like,
no, I was going Tyler Breeze there.
Selfie stick. I was like,
dude, that's what I want to see. I want to see Aleister Black as a Fashion Police.
I mean, you could do that in the wrestling games, but I feel like he'll get very, very mad if he gets to do it on the real life scene.
I mean, well, he could then fashion off his clothing line, Blackcraft. But then, hey, Aleister, Tommy, if you're watching, I would definitely support Blackcraft clothing.
Represent the brand.
I would represent the brand and be the Fashion Police of it. It's very good.
Killian Dane. That's another one. Though. Killian Dane. Like, that's a good big dude. That's a very good big guy. Go ahead. He would be a great pickup for anyone, really. AEW building up their big guys, like think about Killian Dane versus Lance Archer in AEW.
Braun versus Lance.
There was talks about that.
Dude,
they were talking
Braun versus Lance. Wardlow. Braun versus Wardlow. I mean, we got to see two big guys actually do some really good stuff when we saw Wardlow versus Luchasaurus. Like,
and him versus Jake Hager.
Versus JK. That was okay match. I would say that was a failed experiment.
It was different,
but it was entertaining.
Yeah, of course.
I would actually taken the NXT version when it was what is that guy's name? Who was in the Lions Den? The Lions Den match. He just teamed up. He just teamed up with Tommaso.
Dang it! I forgot his name.
This is what it looks like when three guys have their thumbs up their asses.
Yeah, it tells you that we're struggling to think about it too.
What's his name?
Not Thatcher. As memorable.
Thatcher.
Thatcher.
Timothy Thatcher.
Thatcher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wasn't that versus Riddle?
Mm.
Yeah, it was Riddle versus Thatcher.
Somebody like Killian Dane. I mean, he was utilized very well for quite a while.
Sanity.
But then they just.
I love Sanity.
Sanity was
the problem with them is that as soon as they broke up, as soon as Nikki Cross went off to the main roster, it just disintegrated.
They brought them all up on the main roster, and then Eric Young was the first release from them.
Yep. No, they brought them all. They brought the three up, and then left Nikki in NXT for a while, and then she got called up a couple years after.
That's what it was. Nikki.
I was remembering that. I was like, why is she not up here? She'd be perfect. She'd be like,
she was the best part of them.
She was the best part of Sanity.
So here's a funny fact. Think of the three women that were a part of each one of those trios that we were talking about so far. We're missing one, so we're missing one right now. We'll talk about it in a minute. But you got to remember, Alexa Bliss was a part of Fandango, wasn't it?
No, Buddy. And,
that was Carmella.
No, Summer Rae.
Oh, Summer Rae, that's right.
Yes, Summer, who also.
But Nikki Cross out. Yeah, but Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss was with Big Cass and Enzo.
Oh, that's right.
That's Carmella. That's Carmella.
Oh no, Carmella.
No, Carmella. God damn it.
We're getting them all
Too many
crossed over.
blondes in wrestling. Too many blondes.
We're professionals here, guys. Just so you know. But the releases, for them to call them budget cuts is just an insult.
It's absurd.
I get some people that show up on the list. It's like, wait, who are they? Those are the ones I understand. But names like Tyler Breeze, someone who is legitimately a great wrestler, who
The
struggled
Iconics.
at times.
The
The
Iconics.
Iconics. Oh my God. Well, and WWE is right now, their women's main roster, I feel like it's strong. They have so many strong people, but the product itself, exactly, it's going down, like it's plummeting. I love Rhea Ripley and Bianca as champs. That's fucking fantastic. But the rest of the roster is just, it feels like they're floundering. It's like they're almost waiting for Becky Lynch to come back and be Becky Two Belts again.
I struggle with the fact that just in WWE alone, and don't get me wrong, I like WWE, but we're going to have to crap on them because they're doing so much wrong. They don't have any good established tag teams anymore. Any great established tag team we saw, regardless if it was men or women's, we would then go and split them up. And they get released. Yep. Half of them get released. Look at Tucker and Otis, Heavy Machinery. You know, I love Heavy Machinery. They reminded me of the Bushwhackers. They reminded me of every old school 80s tag team, and I have some favorites there, and we will get to that in a bit. But they were so great, and then they split Tucker and Otis up because of whatever reason. They weren't getting over to what? Was it their merch sales or something?
I think it's the merch sales.
Well, and there was no way to judge by audience because there was none. I mean,
True.
Tucker, that one pissed me off because he had one of the most memorable Elimination Chamber spots. When he dove off the top, I mean, a big guy of his size flying the way he does, it's insane. And the fact that they let him go, that's a shame.
Another tag team, we were talking about tag teams, is Buddy and Seth Rollins. Almost said Seth Rogen, but Seth Rollins. That tag team was just incredible, where like the Messiah and his disciple would just walk around and like be like, oh, and then the steel step spots and whatnot. It was so great. And then, like we said a couple of weeks before, Buddy Murphy gets cut, and it's like Buddy Murphy was just amazing. And if you look at him now,
Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy.
Oh,
enough said.
That match was just
there was three of them. There was three of them. They just, I mean,
two technical wrestlers kicks, going at it.
The strong style / technicalities / almost MMA style.
Oh,
it was like watching Muay Thai. Like the way they were kicking each other. I felt my ribs break. And trust me, I've had my ribs break at concerts, but I felt it. It hurts.
Oh.
Tommy End versus Luchasaurus.
Don't tempt me with a good
That's a match.
That's
a match.
Oh, I'm just thinking about it now. Oh,
I just want Tommy End in that sandbox. That's all I want. I don't care how they do it. Give him Butcher and Bunny and the Blade.
Or give him Blade, because I think Butcher is going on tour because he's in the band Every Time I Die.
Yeah.
So I think they're going, because they haven't seen him on TV in a while. So I think that he's going on tour.
I never realized that that Blade and Bunny were married.
Yeah.
I just found this out last week.
It's kind of funny. You find out like a lot of the relationships, and especially like the biggest one that's out there right now who just showed up in AEW. You know,
talking about Jungle Boy and Anna Jay.
Actually, I was not, but that's still a good one.
Oh, another release.
Like getting
it's another release.
Handful of
another release.
Yeah, Stu's going. I'm talking about Andrade. I am talking about Andrade and Charlotte Flair.
I don't know how to say his last name though.
Idoladio.
Elio. I love that name. I saw his promo on Dynamite. It was just.
Does that mean the idol?
I think so. Dude, he's on fire right now. Dude's released from WWE and living life and having his. Are they engaged now? Him and Charlotte?
Yeah, they've been engaged.
Him wearing the AEW hat and her wearing the WWE hat to the gym is such a rib towards WWE. It's hilarious. I think it's fantastic.
I wish Sean Spears would have did that with I'm gonna butcher this again. Which one of the iconics? Peyton Royce. Yeah. Well, I was trying to think of her real name because they don't go by that anymore.
Casey Lee, I think her name is.
Casey Lee or something like that. Yeah. But I wish they would have done that. That rib would have been great. It would have pushed Sean Spears over because it's pushing Andrade over. Yeah. Like, I laugh at it. I want to see what he does to Matt Sydal next week. You mean
Matt something?
Matt something. Oh my God. He was shitting on him so hard. I was laughing. Even that, like, I was watching, I watch everything in subtitles because either my wife's asleep and I have my headphones in and I have the private speaker going to my headphones, or I just have it down and out and up. But reading the subtitles of him talking in that promo was absolutely gold. That's something that's stupid. And you knew he did not care about him because unfortunately, how this is going to be booked. And I don't even care because it's going to be a great match. He will still put Matt Sydal over because, he was Evan Bourne and he's still a great wrestler. And I don't know why they released him. I don't know why they released him. There's another release, but that happened years ago.
Bunch of cuts.
But again, that match will be one of my favorites probably because I have a guarantee that this man, because again, with the way AEW allows the wrestlers to be more free flow and all this other stuff, they're not as, I don't think they're as scripted when it comes to the wrestling. It's more ad lib, but they have the general bullet points they need to hit. I've heard the horror stories of the Young Bucks when they do the hot tag. It's like a 16 move spot, which I would understand not wanting to be wrestling against the Young Bucks because their hot tag is ridiculously complex, but then that just falls short of wanting to wrestle with them.
One thing for the Dorothy for the Bucks. My favorite thing from the Young Bucks is when they do the hot tag, they go, "See ya," and they just super kick you. Sorry, that's my favorite thing of the Young Bucks when they come in. They go, I think it's Nick. Nick goes, "Well, see you later." Like when they do like their own little commentary in the ring, they go, "Oh, see you later, buddy," and they just kick them. Sorry.
They're very vocal when it comes to anything that they do. Like you can hear them pretty much the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's supposed to be that way for the reasons of how their gimmick is, and I absolutely love the fact that that's what they do. But I hate to see wrestlers because I know with their 90-day compete or non-compete, they get paid, which is fine. But I really wish that WWE would shorten that. They could be better about it because you're not allowing your fan base to get what they want. And I get that's the whole point of what a business trying to snub out another business. But I want to see these certain wrestlers. I want to know, and I hate to say it, but Braun Strowman is probably going to retire. He's not going to go nowhere. But I guarantee you, under the right money, which is a problem because that could fall AEW into the WCW thing because that's what everybody's going to, whine about is how they're just WCW 2.0. But I guarantee you, Tony Khan is a smart businessman. They're making profits too. That's been stated.
But look at how much of their roster are straight up just indie guys that have never even seen a television camera. I know. There's so many of them, but yet people gloss that over because they see Jericho and they see Christian and they see Miro. It's just ridiculous. There's no reason that a wrestler can't go from one company to another without somebody going, "Oh, it's just TNA 2.0 or WCW 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? The people that you love are out there doing what you love to see them do. What's the problem with it?
Absolutely nothing. On I think it was Dark or Dark Elevation, a guy that actually kind of was spotted by some of our friends at a SWE show. His name was Cyrus. This man is an absolute monster. The man had less than 40 people on TikTok, and we got to see him on Dark. We got to see him on AEW. Go ahead.
Someone's gonna have to send me that which episode it was, because I didn't know that Cyrus got on Dark.
Yeah, he wrestled one of the wingmen, the Caesar guy.
Oh, they got the tattoo right here.
Yeah,
he's another big guy that I can't wait to see him come up to the main roster with the wingmen and get pushed, because JD Drake's there. JD Drake's another great wrestler. Yeah. Who it's
Pete Avalon.
It's Avalon.
Peter Avalon.
Peter Avalon, and it's JD Drake, Peter Avalon,
Dolph Ziggler's brother.
Dolph Ziggler's brother, the Hunk. Yeah.
Little Ziggler.
Ryan Namath. There you go. Yeah. I was getting to it. And Caesar, I don't remember his last name. Yeah. But he they're gonna be some of the favorites out there. But we're gonna actually transition a little bit because we took a little bit too much on that thing. So I want to know who your guys' favorite wrestlers are.
Ooh, I was waiting for this one.
Steve, you hit it.
Wait, do we like top 5 or top 2? I'll do top 3. My top 3. Top 3. Number 3 has to be Adam Cole, baby, because he's just been doing so much good stuff in the ring, done from the indies to WWE, and he's just phenomenal. No quote to AJ Styles, but the second one, Kenny Omega, because he's the god of professional wrestling. And the last one, come on, you guys know who it is. It's the Ayatollah of rock and roll, Chris Jericho, because the man could do it all. He can do singing, acting, wrestle, and he's just an overall great guy. And I met him a couple times, and he's down to earth, and I love him. He's the first ever undisputed world champion of the WWE. Who's not 11? The first ever AEW world champion.
He's got a lot of firsts under his belt.
Yeah,
I'm actually excited to read his book when it I don't know if it's out yet or not, but I definitely
it is.
It's out.
The
I'm
matches.
I'm gonna have to go pick it up because it's got to be a banger.
Yeah, but Jericho's my all-time favorite. What about you, K-Pop?
Okay. Cactus Jack. Mankind, Dude Love.
I was waiting for it. For it.
So, okay, but on a real note, like Mick Foley, everything he does turns to fucking gold. He is my all-time favorite. But if I were to say an actual top 3 right now, because it typically changes up. That number 3 spot, it tends to change up every now and then. But at number 2, it's got to be Chris Jericho. That's one where ours overlaps there because it's Chris
I think it's going to overlap.
Man.
I think it's going to overlap everybody's list because of what he's done.
Oh. He has to. For as long as he's been in the business, being able to change his character and get over literally every time he does it is just incredible. But for a third right now, see, I would have said Kenny Omega a little bit ago, but I love Hangman Adam Page. That guy right there.
He's my number 4. He's my number 4.
Right now, that's fair. Right now, the whole storyline, the whole arc of him since AEW started, since the inception of AEW, has been one of the best things in wrestling.
Oh, 100%.
Aside from I'd say aside from Ciampa and Gargano, their whole thing, that feud, that is right there with it as one of the best things in modern wrestling.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to go generational here. So I will give you my top 3 of right now. and that would honestly be MJF. The man is going to be the most mixed Rock, Flair, Piper, every best heel promo you'll ever see. MJF is going to be that person, and I'm there for it from the ride. My number 2, and these are in no particular order. I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3. Definitely Tommaso Ciampa. I think his Goldie storyline and the way he just talks to people is just, he just cuts a different style promo, and I love it. And then if I'm going to go right now, still going to be Adam Cole, number 1-ish 3, because he's done so much. He's just done so much. Even though if you ever watched him in Ring of Honor, if you ever watched him in the Bullet Club, it's so good. But I mean, we could talk about our favorite decade wrestlers, because I mean, we just talked about a lot of new generational wrestlers. We didn't talk about the only person we could ever cross on anybody's list that's gone over a couple decades is Chris Jericho. I could say we can go back to the early 90s and early 80s, and we could go with The Undertaker, and we could go with Mankind, and we could go with The Rock and Stone Cold. Those are such great wrestlers back then. But like I said, Stone Cold's not on my list. He's a good promo artist. He could talk on a mic, but was he a really good wrestler? I don't think so.
He's on my list.
He's good at putting people over too.
Right. Well, and and Jericho's great at that. So that's the reason why he's probably on most of our lists, because he's a guy who is fair. He's not the Ric Flair who just force your way into a win. Even though Ric Flair was great on the microphone, he's a great technical wrestler, the background behind him is so dark, and he did not. He had such a downfall. He just wrestled way too long.
Yeah.
Yay.
But with that being said, out of our list, who are your guys' favorite wrestlers? We want to hear about it. And that's our fan base. And also, we need from you next week, what do we talk about? I'm going to give you 3 topics, and I'll tell you right now, one of them is a spoiler alert, and that is the new Loki series on Disney+. Also, we want to talk about you with comics, because we're bigger than wrestling. All 3 of us have a very, very broad range of things, and we'd love for you to listen to it, and we'd love for you to talk about it with us. Another thing we'd like to talk about is music. So we're going to give you 3 questions this week, and we want you to answer it for us, and we will talk about it for you, and we hope you feedback on it. So anyway, that is episode 2 in the books. And with that being said, we are good booking. This is Steve at IAmSteves. This is K-Pop at K-Pop
underscore NGTTWF.
All on TikTok. And I am the Demented TH3 underscore D3M T3D. Messed it up this time. Anyway, you want to find us? You can find us on our Discord server. Our Discord server is discord.io/NGTTWF. That is NGTTWF. Anyway, we will see you in the books. Have a good night.
See ya.